it's Jeannie, Blaha, Think Walk with Your Angels, EnjoyFlames.com. How is your March going so far? Are you ready for the message you want? So remember, January was about maintaining your frequency, no matter what was coming at you. February was about letting in, letting go, letting in, letting go. How'd you get with that? And then March, what's March? Okay, so according to those in the quantum, and many of those humans in form here, there's a lot going on with dealing with old triggers, right? Really getting in touch with a lot of things that happened to you when you were a child that is just coming up and surfacing and even erupting at times, where things can be falling on your ears in a really strange way and you're wondering, how is it that the people that I feel that have loved me or supported me or backed me or even just have really gotten along with me are now all of a sudden having these really strange falling outs or things where you feel like you're just not seeing eye to eye. Could be people at work, could be in the community, could be in the family, etc. And it might even be that you have been approaching people with a very specific idea, recommendation, suggestion, something where you're presenting something in peace, in love, and in empowerment, and still the reaction has been really volatile or off the charts, where you're going, what just happened? Why was that reaction like that? Okay, so I asked those in the quantum, what is this? What's being sorted out right now? And it is that a lot of those eruptions, the volatility, it's just that there's been a lot of internalization and repression of people's real feelings, of real ideas, or of those things that happened as a child where it's got stuffed or put on a shelf or not recognized, or even, I can't even deal with that right now, I got too much going on my plate. So, and then all of a sudden it shoots out at 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, 70, unless we've dealt with it and faced it and walked on through it, right? So if you are receiving this and noticing like, what's going on? I don't get it. I don't feel like I'm really jiving with anybody right now. It's feeling really tumultuous, or it feels like no matter how I'm saying anything, it's not being heard in the way that I'm meaning it. Okay, first up on that one, the quantum say, it's all about your intention. So if your intention is such that everybody gets to win, you cannot control how it's going to be received on the other end. There are going to be people that still perceive it as you're trying to tell me what to do, or you're trying to tell me how to live, or you're trying to get me out of something that I'm not ready to leave yet. I'm not ready to change. I'm kind of enjoying the suffering, or I'm kind of attached to this drama, this illness, this dis-ease. And so that's when, retreat, step back a little bit, observe with love, and just say, each person is exactly where he or she most wants to be. And it's the real deal. We can think, oh no, I don't want to be right here, right now. I'd rather be doing that. Right? My desired reality looks like this. But when it gets to that point where it feels like, oh, okay, now I know I'm done with this, I really do desire this other desired reality, that's when each person decides to make a change. And it becomes one decision. It's not all of the strife leading up to this decision, the resistance that we're putting in front of ourselves. It is all of a sudden that notion or that inspired thought, this is it, I'm done with this. And if you feel like that never happens to you, look back in your life carefully, take a screenshot and say, wait a minute, I have made decisions like that where I decided I had to be done with a relationship or a job or a career or a journey. Even friendships sometimes have to come apart if the frequencies are different. If you find that you are in a situation where you know that you are becoming more trouble for somebody just for being honest and direct and straightforward, sometimes those little friendships have to take a breather, or sometimes they really do part ways. So for March, here's what they're suggesting from the quantum. When you are experiencing these moments of these eruptions and these reactions that seem so over the top, first of all, consider we are in Mercury in retrograde, which is the planet of communication, so that can tie things up a little bit too. But overall, March 2019, you may remember it as the month that you stood solidly in your peace. You decided that no matter how somebody was going to perceive something or present something or come back at you with something, you were going to stand in your peace and just not get into the trigger, right? Because anybody who has to have that strong of a reaction, the trigger that's happening is not from this present state of their life. It has to do with something that happened to them when they were 3, 4, 7, 5, 9. And so their reaction is coming from a place of, I'm not being appreciated, I'm being undervalued, I don't think I'm much matter, maybe I don't even belong here, I don't feel like I'm wanted. There's a lot of these things that will erupt later in life at 20, 30, 70, whatever age it is, if we haven't faced it and walked on through it. So take this month, March, and decide, you know what, I'm gonna stand solidly in peace no matter what person says to me. I'm just gonna hold that space right there. I'm not gonna jump into that and have to prove something or declare something or get them to see something my way. They're wrong, I'm right, that kind of stuff. That's just ego that gets ensnared. And those in quantum remind us regularly, you know what, here's the thing. Everyone is standing in his own, her own truth. It's not the one right way. And a person, even down to quantum physics or physical matter on the earth plane, a person, we're all creating this reality. We're creating our own realities. So what's factual for you may not be factual for another person at all. What is possible for one person or impossible for that person is not necessarily impossible or possible for you. So consider, if somebody's coming at you, they're coming at you in their own truth, and you can accept that and acknowledge that and say, okay, that's their truth. Without getting ensnared and trying to change their truth. Because really at the end of the day, all you're gonna do is create more resistance. And then, are you helping? Are you really helping to empower somebody if they're hanging on to their illness, their dis-ease, their marriage that they're complaining about, or their partnership, or a job they hate, or a career that they can't stand anymore? If you are going into it with both barrels saying, why are you changing this up? It's not gonna do anything to create more resistance because they're just not ready. And it happens. People have to be ready for their own changes. There's nothing we can do about that. And so, again, if you're standing there, and those in the quantum are reminding me a little bit about taking the extra step, which is, I said, what's that? And they said, not only do you stand in your peace with it, you start reflecting the light back to that person, their love, their light, because everyone's got it. It doesn't matter how raging a person is, or how you might think there's no possible way to having good in them because they're just a landmine waiting to go off, or they're ready to attack anybody for anything because they have some area of their life that they're not feeling good about. So it's just like projected out onto anybody so I can feel better. So with that, reflecting back their light, everybody's got it again. Every being, every tree, every form of matter has light. We came from it, we're gonna retune to it. It's one big light, so we really don't have to differentiate and say, he's so different than I am, she we can't see eye to eye. We all have it, we're all connected to it. And if we unify rather than fall apart from each other and decide we cannot possibly get along with somebody and change it into, I'm just gonna stand there in peace and reflect light back. Because sometimes they call it the re-mind in the quantum, which is you're resetting the mind of that person, helping them to see, oh, wait a minute, I am light, I am love, and I can handle this in a different way. And I am good, and this person's with me right now because they want to be, and they want to have an understanding, they want to have communication, they want to get me, and they're accepting me right now. Even in all this eruption and volatility and whatever, they're still standing there and doing their best, all of their intentions on, let's get to a win-win with all of this, right? Now, you can be sitting there going, never in a million years can I do that. I can't stand it when people are just erupting, or you're standing in a line at a grocery store and you got one person berating the cashier, and what do? You can stand behind that person and reflect the light right into them. And you'd be surprised how a lot of wondrous magic can happen, because once a person reminds themselves of their light, all of a sudden they want to do a little differently. They want to handle things a little differently, and they realize I am capable of handling this in a different way. I don't have to be bashing at somebody. The other thing, those in the quantum suggestion, check in. If this is happening in your periphery where you're seeing a volatility, eruptions, or people maltreating each other, see if there's not some aspect of yourself where you're beating yourself up, you're condemning yourself for something, you're being violent towards yourself. Because every time we are beating ourselves up or thinking we're not enough, or it should be handling something differently, or when are we gonna get it, that's violent. I mean, it is not a kind thing to do to ourselves. So watch that too, catch it and say, maybe I am being that mean to myself and I don't even know it. Maybe at the end of my week, I'm really coming down on myself for what I didn't accomplish, what I didn't change, what I didn't handle very well, and etc. Right? Because assessing yourself and being mindful about where you're coming from or how you're approaching or how you're receiving people is not about attacking yourself over it. It's simply saying, there's another way I can handle this. I think I could take this to this next passage where that whatever that person's reaction doesn't have to affect me at all. I can go about my day and think of that person in peace and send the intention that they come to some area of understanding about, where is that coming from in them? What happened to them when they were 4 years old? Because you can quantum leap and see where things have happened for people, including yourself. The origination of all of that emotion or that reaction, and say, oh wow, I can just see at 4 this happened, and yeah, I get it. I get why she is having this specific kind of reaction to this. Okay? So that's March for you. Check in, see if you can hold your space no matter where you are on the freeway with road ragers. You can be at the grocery store, you can be shopping, you can, wherever you are. If there is this going on around you, hold space, get peaceful, be your light, and then just reflect that out with the others around you. Whomever you're encountering, you may not even have a conversation with the person, that's okay too. There's no need. You can just be reflecting that. Everybody's got it, everybody's got light. If you have some people in your midst that are experiencing this, what is this going on? Why are people acting out? Again, let's bring it back to what happened to us, because if you can track those triggers, they are not horrible things. People think, oh my God, I got triggered and that's so terrible. No, triggers are fantastic because it's just the internalized or the repressed or the things we held on to with pain, with strife. Well, they're gonna come up as soon as we say, hey, let's get evolving here, right? I want to evolve. You're gonna have these pieces and bits come up, and then you can start to chuckle about them and say, oh my gosh, I just got triggered again. And take it lightly, rather than down this road of, look how awful of a person I am. I'm terrible. I can't get through this. I can't get over this. What's the deal? No, check in. You watch those triggers and embrace them, and then say, wow, it's good for me to come peace. Maybe I just have to forgive myself and my grandfather, my uncle, my father, my sister, or whatever it is, to release yourself primarily from these areas where you held yourself. Because the trigger keeps continuing until we embrace ourselves for the origination of it and say, you know what, it's okay, I didn't know. I didn't know how to handle that differently at that time when I was 4. Or my parent didn't understand that this was actually happening, and they avoided it or ignored it or denied it. And so it's coming up again until I say, you know what, it's okay. I can forgive an adult, a mentor, a teacher, etc. for not knowing. They kept it their knowledge from the self, because awareness is always on, but we can ignore it. It happens too. So see what happens. Watch the magic that can happen from you just standing solidly in your peace and reflecting light back to the person who happens to be in a brouhaha with themselves, because it's really not at you. It seems like it, and they might believe that it's at you and you're the fault, you're to blame, but it's not. Anytime we have these major eruptions, it's really not about the other person at all, even though it seems like it, right? So there it is. Thank you so much for watching, and take care. We'll see you next month.